Biotechnology improvements are enabling increases in crop yields by, for example, enabling crops to become resistant to fungal growth and fungal infection. Pernille, what is the technology you're deploying to help crops survive a fungal growth?
What we're doing is genome editing, but just to take it one step back, when you have a fungus that's infecting a plant, then basically what happens is that it will land on the crop. And the first thing that happens once it's settled is that it will penetrate the cell wall, and then it will secrete a lot of enzymes that will degrade the plant cell. And the reason why it's doing this is to free up a lot of nutrients, because the fungi need these nutrients to grow and multiply, and then it will be able to infect the rest of the plant.
So it becomes a source of food for the fungus?
Yes, but the fungus can't eat it as it is. It needs to be degraded. So it needs to be degraded into small pieces that it can take up. And what we are then doing is that we have found a naturally occurring plant enzyme. It's a protease, so it's an enzyme that degrades other proteins and enzymes. If we convince the plant to increase the production, and we can do that by changing the regulatory part that's in front of the gene, that's kind of the recipe for the protease or for the enzyme. So if we increase the production inside the plant, then all of a sudden when the fungus lands and secrete enzymes into the plant cell, then all these enzymes will now be degraded, because you have a little warrior inside the plant cells, and that will degrade all the incoming enzymes. But when we degrade all these incoming fungal enzymes, then no nutrients are released. So the fungi will simply starve. So it will not be able to grow. It will not be able to infect the rest of the plant.
It seems like a much better solution than fungicides that are widely deployed by farmers today. Is this the core market that you're disrupting with Healthycrop?
It is. You can say with fungicides, there's a lot of sustainability. And even if you spray with fungicides, then if you look at corn in the US, for instance, then every year fungal infections are still causing yield losses between 2 and 15%, because the humidity might change, the weather will change, the amount of fungi infecting will change. So even when you're spraying with fungicides, the farmers, they will experience yield losses between 2 and 15%. But with our technology, we don't have any chemicals, we're not spraying anything, we don't have any residues on the plants, and no matter how many fungi will come and how the weather will be, how much water there will be, the mechanism will be the same, and we will have high level of fungal resistance. So you'll have a much more consistent yield with our technology compared to fungicides.
How does the cost of Healthycrop solution compare to the current state of the art of fungicides?
Our estimate, and this is of course an estimate because we are still rather early, but we have estimated together with the international seed producers that the value of our trait, so trait is basically just the genetic modification that makes the plant resistant, you can say. So changing the regulatory promoter part to get more protease in the plant, that's called a trait. So the value of our trait, we've estimated that to around 100 euros per hectare. And that's increased yields. It's the cost that they save. They don't have to buy fungicides. They don't have to spray. Typically, they spray a couple of times during a season. They don't have to do that. So all those costs together.
But that's actually excluding the environmental benefits as
well.
Yeah,
that's just hardcore financials. And if we look at other traits, or other high-value traits, because this is what you would call a high-value trait, then we believe that the cost of a trait like ours would be around 25 euros per hectare. So the end farmer will have a net saving of around 75 euros per hectare using our technology compared to fungicides.
And on that point of environmental impact, have you been able to measure how much more sustainable Healthycrop is compared to using fungicides?
Right now we talk a lot about biodiversity, because biodiversity is really suffering from all the pesticides that's being used in agriculture. And by using our technology, you protect all the biodiversity, so you get increased biodiversity compared to when you spray. Then of course we also get enhanced food safety, because one of the big issues with fungal infections in particular is that fungus, they create these mycotoxins, and it's basically toxins that the fungi secretes, and it does that while the crop is still on the field, but it also does it after harvest. So you both have
so it's pervasive.
Yes.
For a crop that ultimately makes its way into the food chain.
Yes, And today, large amounts of food is being discarded because of increased mycotoxins. Flour, for instance, is being recalled because high amounts of mycotoxins is present. And what is being done today is actually that they measure the mycotoxins, and then the millers they will mix batches. So high mycotoxins and low mycotoxins batches are being mixed to get below the threshold.
The safety standard for consumer safeguards.
Yes, but if you use our technology, then you won't have any mycotoxins at all.
Pernille, there's worry around the globe about the impact of any form of genetic modification, genetic engineering, gene editing. How do you address the concerns with respect to the Healthycrop technology?
First of all, you can say that we've been using genetic modification since the mid-90s. So we've been growing genetically modified crops for more than 30 years. And that's quite a few repetitions so far, and we haven't seen any major
no catastrophic outcomes.
No catastrophe yet. You can also say when you do genome editing or these CRISPR-Cas9 technologies, for instance, what you get genetically is 100% identical to what you get when you do classical mutagenesis. So what we've been doing for generations by just breeding, and lately if you take a seed and then you just kill it with chemicals, then you get a lot of mutations, and then you have a pool of seeds with different mutations, and then you just start looking for the one that you're interested in, and that can take you years. What you can do today is that you can do exactly what you know is the beneficial mutation. You can introduce that, nothing else. You don't have any weird mutations lying around the genome. You only do the beneficial.
Very targeted.
It's very targeted. But right now in Europe, this plant done by CRISPR is GMO, and you cannot grow that. But this one that you've done by classical mutagenesis, that's non-regulated, and you can just grow that in the field. And that to me doesn't make sense. In my mind, I think we will probably still need to regulate transgenesis in some way, so when we mix genetic material from different organisms. But when we don't add any foreign DNA and only do what evolution would or could do, then I don't see a need for that strict regulation.
What is the global rollout plan for Healthycrop?
We've secured our first license agreement with the international seed producer, and they are testing our genetic trait in corn and doing open field studies in 2026. We are also negotiating with other international seed producers on other crops. So our rollout plan is to collaborate with the big international seed producers, because we need them. We need them to take our trait and put it into their elite lines and put it out on the fields. And then while they're doing that, and we kind of hit the major markets, then we can focus on strengthening our IP, developing new traits. We have some very promising leads for new ways of getting fungal resistance. So not by starvation, by overexpressing the protease, but other ways of starving the fungi. And that we're working on now.